Hmm. Oh, glorious espresso. What more could you ask for? Especially one that's being served on an oily bird coaster. Welcome to the next edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe, where it's October and I need to embrace my inner Halloween spirit and look like I'm kind of dressed up as Freddy Krueger. I'm ready to invade nightmares, people. Hang tight. But the phrase oily bird came about when I was putting together a recipe like 2 years ago, it was, for some Greek style chicken breast grilled on the charcoal. Because one of the main ingredients, in fact, the biggest ingredient in that, is olive oil. And now I'm thinking, once again, it's a nice day. It's supposed to be a nice weekend period. So I want to show you how to do the chicken yourselves too. You can bake it. You could probably grill it if you want to, especially if you're one of those people that will try to grill even over the winter. And I know one or two of you out there watching this that will do it. So stick around. Let's get started on this. Okay, and now we're ready to get started. First thing you're going to want to do is get yourself a medium-sized mixing bowl to get your marinade put all together. You're also going to need one chef's knife for mincing up some garlic, a cutting board, because you don't want to cut it up on the counter where all the germs are. You want to try to keep it a little bit neat. Measuring cup, and also a teaspoon or half teaspoon measuring spoon. First thing I'm going to do is get some lemon juice in here. The recipe I found calls for about one full lemon juiced up. But if you don't have a full lemon, you can put like maybe around 1 tablespoon or so of lemon juice and you'll get the job done. Okay, no, it's not as much as a real lemon. So I'm just going to put the 2 tablespoons instead. Lo and behold, I'm all out. Luckily I have my bath of juice. Ugh. Here we are. Lemon juice is all set to go. Then to that you can add a half cup of olive oil. My recipe called for 1 full cup of olive oil. I decided to cut it in half of that just because I wanted to marinate it without getting it too oily. As long as it tastes like lemon and oil, you're fine also. Next you're going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. Once again, doesn't matter what kind of salt you have. I'm going to be using some sea salt here, very coarse. Main reason is because I haven't used this in a while, and I should try to put it to good use every now and then. Okay, that's there. Next would be about 1.5 teaspoons of pepper, so you can have a little bit more kick in your life, or kick in excess style. Classic album from Australia. Here, 1, 2, and 3. There, spiced up enough. Next, you're going to need about 1/3 of paprika. That's not a third paprika, it's a 1/3 teaspoon of paprika. It's a very odd measurement because I've never seen a 1/3 teaspoon before. I can usually play by ear, but I'll do like a little under half a teaspoon to give me a good amount. Yep. Next thing I'm going to do is add some oregano. The funny thing is that this recipe I found does not call for oregano whatsoever. And I've been told by people who are Greek that if there ain't oregano there, it ain't fully Greek. So let's Greek up that sucker right now. I'm going to put a teaspoon, give it a good amount of flavor. Then the next thing to do is just mince up your garlic. There is actually a technique to this too. Just cut off the end, peel it off, and then you just have to cut it very slowly and cut it very close together to give yourself very small pieces. I mean, you could use a garlic press also. The only thing is you're going to be left with a lot of skin, and the pressing is going to be all separated. This will ensure that you get a nice uniform quality to it. As for the amount, they asked for about 2 teaspoons worth. So for me, that's going to be around 2 cloves. And they're going to be 2 big cloves because my preference is to use Spanish garlic. Love having that in my recipes now. So the proper way to mince garlic is right here. You just do all these small cuts with a chef's knife like this. So you get these very thin pieces. So you do that horizontally, and then you run it again vertically to make sure that it's all going to be very well fine. Voila, people, we have garlic. One down, one more to go. I guess what got me into this recipe was me thinking back to good memories of Greek restaurants when I was going to it with my family. As a kid, I always used to love the chicken there, especially the potato wedges that they used to serve. And even in retrospect, the last time I was at a Greek restaurant, it's really inexpensive too. You get a really good amount of food. Food is great. You're looking at under 20 bucks at a good place. So you really don't have to worry about blowing your budget there. Of course, if you're going to be doing wine, other appetizers, desserts, that's a whole other story. Voila. So all the garlic is minced up. So now, oops, hang on, there's one piece that never cut properly. Aha. Let's get these skins out of the way. And we're going to add it into our marinade. Beautiful. So mix it all around so all the flavors are going to blend. And then once that's settled, you can get yourself started on the chicken. All right, now that I got my sanitation glove ready, we are now ready to start on the chicken. For this, you're going to need about a good 4 breasts to be able to get it well seasoned up together. Best thing to do to get the marinade in is take your chef's knife and along each breast, you do a few slits, just a few of them. And what that's going to do is let it really sink in into the meat, giving an all-around nice flavor while it's coating up. There. Got that done. And then you're going to take all that chicken that you slice and you're going to put it into a large mixing bowl. Keep going with this until every breast is cut. It's not often that I use chicken breast in my cooking these days. Most of the time I actually use chicken thighs. Those have like the juiciest flavor. And I love to have my breaded chicken every now and then with that too. In fact, I should probably do a future episode of that to show how to do it from start to finish. But one thing at a time. I'm not Superman. I don't have X-ray vision. I'm not, weak against Krypton. Yeah, I had to squeeze in a little bit of cheese there. So then we're on the final breast. Wonderful. All breasts are cut. Next step is you'd be taking your chicken and then taking your marinade, pouring it all in. Then you want to make sure every bit of oil, every bit of seasoning, every piece of garlic is well utilized in that. So that you get maximum flavor and versatility of the various poultry and anatomical structures to enable the... oops, I almost went on a rant for a second. But once you're done with that, you take your same hand, take the chicken, and really massage it well to get all those juices inside. You really got to work hard on that. Yummy. Yeah, every time I've made this for guests, they loved it. It's just so tender, so crispy on the outside. All right, this is as good as it's gonna get. And then once it's all mixed in together, your next step is cover up your bowl with some saran wrap and then let it sit in your fridge. For the best results, you should let it marinate in its own juices overnight. And you're gonna see that it's gonna get a really nice flavor and also that the chicken and the juices are all going to solidify into a gelatinous blob. But the good kind of blob that'll set your barbecue on fire and get it all tasty, crispy. It'd be like shake and bake extra crispy recipe. There. All sealed up. Make sure you have enough room in the fridge. There. And now it's ready to stew. And once you're done with all that, above all else, get your knife, your countertop all cleaned up, because you were working with some chicken, and the last thing you want to deal with is potential salmonella. Nobody likes that. Oh, if you do like salmonella, don't tell me, I don't want to know who you are. Okay, let's have a look over here. Beautiful. So, one day later, your chicken is all marinated and juicy and looks like it's a bit gelatinous. It's going to be ready for grilling. And of course, you can have it plain just like that. But if you want to sauce up that bird, make it an oily, saucy bird, then you can always make your own barbecue sauce too. And I feel like whipping that up today as well. So, to give a backstory again, in case you haven't heard what the reasoning for this was, it was simple. I was at a pub with a friend a while back, and one of the things that we saw on the menu was a burger that had a whiskey barbecue sauce served on it. So both of us were kind of excited. We thought it sounded really good, and we got a taste of that. But then, of course, we're both taking a taste of that barbecue sauce. It tastes like a plain sauce, but we couldn't taste the whiskey at all in there. Of course, the reason being was the fact that they had used Jameson in there. You know, Jameson is one of the, I guess, cheapest, lightest tasting whiskeys out there. To get a really good woody taste, you're going to need something else a little bit more smoky to get that in there. Now, I realize that using a Scotch that could go for about $70 a bottle, that's going to be kind of expensive. You only need something simple over here. Just some good old Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. This was going to have a really woody taste, so that means it's going to perfectly blend in with the rest of your sauce. And it's not too much you need either. There it is. All you really need is like half a cup of this stuff, and you got enough to start cooking it in the saucepan. And then, of course, if you ever wanted, you can always give yourself a shot to sip on while you're cooking this. Me? Not today. I'm going off the whiskey. So, you would take a large saucepan. What I already have in here is about 1 small onion and 4 cloves of garlic, all chopped and minced up. Add the whiskey in here, and then you can start heating things up. And as always, keep the fan running so you get all the moisture out of the kitchen. Yeah, you're going to get a whiff of those fumes from the whiskey as it's cooking. But you don't put it for too long. You let this cook for maybe about 7 to 10 minutes. Just enough time to make the onions all translucent. And then once you see that, you can add your next ingredients. Okay, these onions and garlic are really whiskied up now, so you're ready to add the remainder of all your ingredients. Next thing you're going to need is 1/3 cup of vinegar, 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire. I combined it together just because I was feeling lazy. I want to reduce the space I had here. Then after that, you need half a cup of brown sugar. Make sure it's firmly packed like your bacon. And after that, it's going to be around 3/4 cup of molasses. If you're like me, you would not necessarily be getting the fancy brand. Store brand is perfect enough for what you're doing. Because when you're mixing all this up, no one's going to tell like, hey, wait, this is an old grandma brand, not the no-name brand. Look at that old thick gooiness. That's done, the next big ingredient is going to be 2 cups of ketchup. Had a little bit of an interruption, folks. Had to get my backup ketchup because the other one was starting to get a bit empty. And it was starting to give me some gas and farting problems. I hate when it does that. Now I've got my 2 cups here. Next ingredient is 1/4 cup of tomato paste. Yep, doubling your tomatoes, everyone. There. Should be enough. This will give it a little bit of thickness in the pot. Those are your basics. Your next step is just to give the seasoning here. 1/2 teaspoon teaspoon of pepper. And finally, a teaspoon and a half of salt. Let it overfill that a little bit, so I'm going to underfill this teaspoon. Wow. And the last important part after your seasoning is a little ingredient that's called liquid smoke. Where are you able to get that? Well, my suggestion is you're going to have to take one room, build a distiller, build a fire, so that whenever you have the smoke rising, it somehow absorbs the contraption, it condenses into a liquid, and then you have liquid smoke available. I'm just kidding. You can get that easily at a grocery store. They have different kinds of flavors available. I'm using one that's called hickory smoke. The last time I tried this one, I thought the scent of it really reminded me of bacon and hickory chips, and also made me think of barbecue chips. Woo! Scent hit you. So now, everything's combined, you just mix it together until you get it simmering. Okay, this is starting to really boil now, and the tangy fumes are really getting to me. So we're on to the next step, is just put this to low, and then let it simmer for a good 15 to 20 minutes. Then it'll allow it to really thicken up. See? This barbecue sauce is actually simple to do, and you can do it at home as well. Ooh. Yep, that was the fume of ketchup and vinegar hitting me yet again. Alright, the fan is off. It's been at least a good 15 minutes. This is looking super thick. It's time to cut the heat. Get a load of it, everyone. We now have homemade barbecue sauce. I'm trying to show this off without spilling it and wasting rations. So with this recipe, you can serve it right away or keep it aside and keep it in an airtight lid in the fridge for about a week. I've had stuff last at least a weekend. It's been fine. It's just a recommendation. But at least now that I have my sauce ready, we're going to be getting ready to get some grilling done. Okay, so with everything in mind, it's now time to start grilling. You can take note of the fact that I changed my hat now, because with the changing weather, changing times, I figured I need to get my headgear all into place. Forget it. No matter what, people, it always comes down to grilling with a fedora. Gotta look stylish when you're doing it. I'll save that for when I have to be more practical. So now I'm ready to light my fire. Jim Morrison style. And luckily enough, I was able to find at Costco my usual hardwood briquettes for grilling. So this is actually going to work way better for me. Sometimes you just have to stick to what you know. And sometimes you got to pick a fight with the charcoal because the wind is inhibiting you. Oh, come on. Okay, fire's all set, ready to go. And with that, it's brewing time. I've got a Heineken glass to represent Holland, and to represent Belgium, I'm doing Stella Artois. This is always a really good one that I would get on tap when I was going to pubs. It's been a long time since I had it, but I suppose canned Stella is better than tap Stella. Stella has a lot of head. But then, there's an expression I've heard with beer. When you're holding your hand, you're fisting it. So with doing a Stella Artois, does that mean I'm fisting Stella? But then if you're holding a Stella in each hand, are you double fisting Stella? Yep, I had to get some cheese out there. You're welcome, Gazpacho. We are now at 350 degrees, and I know this is a lot better because take a look at all the embers here. This is why I stick by the Costco charcoal, because this one lights up the best of anything. Man, look at this beauty. So now I'm ready to get this grill preheated, and then once it's hot, scraped off so I get all the excess gunk from when I last grilled. Here we are again. And what I'm going to be doing for a little veggie is I sliced up a bit of zucchini here, and I'm just going to add a slight bit of canola oil, along with my homemade Greek salad seasoning mix on it on one side. Gives it a nice flavor too. One of these days, I'm going to have to do a segment on this. Okay, so a little trick I learned from one of my friends too is just oil up the grate lightly to make it easier to cook on so that your meat doesn't stick. But also in the process, you're actually going to have the heat generating a little bit more, which will bring the temperature up just a bit. Whoa. Call me Sparkman, like the Mega Man villain. See what this looks like? Okay, just a little bit under 300, but this should go back up again now that it's covered up. Yeah, that discount charcoal I got, forget it. I'm only getting in case of emergency. This works better. The heat is consistent on it. And now, time to get the zucchini on. Before I get to the main course, the chicken. Oil up that long tubular veggie. Thicker one than usual? Ah, whatever. There. Final zucchini ration. Now that it's all there, let it grill, and you can add a layer onto the next side. Ooh. Don't worry, people, I've done this before. And then for the final touch, the Greek salad seasoning on each slice. I'm also getting kind of low. I may have to refill it too. Now we wait, let it grill just for a little bit, flip it around, then you're good to go. You'll know it's ready when it's nice and tender on the interior, just like with eggplant. And then once that's done, we get to the oily bird. Time to take a look. Yep. Loving the smell over here, people. Ooh. The grill marks are appearing pretty nice. Now we get to the next side to flip it around with all the seasoning and then char up those spices. It's a beautiful thing. Well, not as beautiful as inhaling campfire. That is like a ritual unto itself. So, before we get to the next segment of the oily bird, I want to give a toast with round number 2. This is a West Coast IPA. So this one's a bit more hoppy and bitter. And the brewer is actually located from BC, that you can get all the way over here. This is the Granville Island Brewing Company. It's a really good one too. Like, I've had a few of theirs. I love it. So if ever you want to get some beer that's not necessarily from Quebec, then you could try that one. That one I'd highly recommend. That and Oregano Springs as well. There's so much good stuff out there, just so little time and money to try everything. Plus also the human body can only handle so much. So at this point, the veggies should be well grilled. The spices are really kicked in, so now you can remove it from the BBQ and keep them aside for a later time. Oh, I'm kind of stoked about this. I was always big on meat on the grill, but a few buddies of mine that are big on grilling veggies like zucchini, mushroom, even eggplant, they've been a good influence on me, and I'm grateful for that. Just a damn shame that we can't all be together for this, because, you know, us being in red zone, not being able to see each other in person, have to probably Zoom, call, text. But then again, there's a whole lot of things I wonder, like, what's the point? I suppose if I continue, then I'm just going to risk getting onto a soapbox. So now that's done, just use a little bit of extra oil to make good use of this, of course. Because I don't want this oil to go to waste, even though it's only canola oil, not like avocado oil that is expensive as shit. Not that I know how expensive shit can be. Maybe those black market dealers that deal with the bat shit or guano would be able to tell me. I'm getting into a cheese moment, aren't I? Okay, I'm gonna stop now because I'm ready to do the pièce de résistance. Time to get that oily bird onto here. This is gonna be intense. And I know from experience too. There. Piece number 1. Number 2. 3. And 4. Oh, and a runoff piece too. Well, fuck me through a branch. I've seen this happen before. It still surprised me to this day. But simple trick. Cut off the airflow so that you'll be able to stop the heat. And throw the other piece in there. Okay. So, hellfire aside, the easiest way to know if your chicken is done is A, that it's no longer pink on the interior, and B, when the juices flow through, that it's always going to run... Oh, my beer can. The juices are going to flow clear as opposed to red like blood. Stay tuned. I'm going to give it a flipping once this thing is out of the way. Well, that bird has had enough time to cook. Let's see how it's doing now. Nice pair of tongs. Tongs, not thongs. Don't misinterpret me, people. Ooh. It's a beautiful thing. Time to flip them over. There. It's really starting to brown up now. And there's no more flames at all because I guess all of the oil has been extracted from it. So we're off to a good start. We're off to the races. I'm betting on Seabiscuit. We're off to flip off number 2. By which I mean the chicken breast is about to flip me off a second time. Like once is already enough. Let's get some holes poked through this. That way it will really make sure it's well penetrated. Well, dinner and a show, people. What more can you ask for? So it's not going to take too much longer. I would say like maybe a good 10 minutes. Then it's ready for chewing. Once again, gotta love that West Coast hoppy flavor. It ain't like the East Coast with its fruity citrusiness, but it gets the job done too. Let's see how we're doing. And Mom, if you're watching this, yes, I took a minute to clean these tongs to make sure they're clean and I wasn't going to infect anybody. You can be safe. There's no salmonella involved. Well, well. This is looking really good. And I decided to move the meat onto the right-hand side because I'm noticing that the embers are actually a bit more strong over there. This makes me think that it's going to cook a lot better on this side. I might flip it off like 1 or 2 more times. Actually, I'll do it 1 time now. There. Flipped off now. But once it's charred, we should be good for eating. I just kind of wonder, what am I going to have with this? I'll figure it out. It's sure looking nice and charred now. I took off my sunglasses because A, it's starting to get cloudy, and B, I think my Corey Hart tribute of wearing my sunglasses at night was, we got the message across. Let's see how this is looking again. Let's see, we got a lot more char. So we should be practically on the home stretch. The big test would be if the juices are starting to run clear, which looks like they are. But again, also, that it's not pink on the inside. I'm going to do a quick test. Always make sure you're looking at the thickest part. Because that's the most likely part that's going to take the most time to cook. It's like with doing chicken thighs. That's always the thickest part of the meat, so that's the part that you always want to be careful with. Okay, I might leave it for like 1, maybe 2 minutes max. And then we're good for eating. And lots of stuff you could do with this too, but I'll explain later. Yeah, it's been about 2 minutes. I think I've cooked this as much as it needs to be cooked. Anything more, you're just going to end up getting this dry. The last thing you need is dried bird. Bird is best when it's oily, and especially when it's saucy. Saucy could also be sexy too. So I'll keep that aside. And I just got a nice idea for myself. I grilled some eggplant earlier this week, and I got about a few slices left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these back on the grill. Because if you can refry certain things, like deep fry some food and then refry it again, I figure you could have re-grilled veggies. 2 slices to go. If nothing else, I'll grill it here instead of having to use the microwave so it softens it up. Maybe I'll get some extra grill marks. Yep, I'm stoked. And then I could just use the same container to put away my zucchini. See? I'm helping. Let's have a look-see. Tasty little eggplant. I'm excited, man. I got zucchini, I got eggplant, I got oily bird. Just need one more piece of the meal and I'm set to go. So wait. This eggplant has been grilling on top of oily chicken, isn't it? So it's like chicken fried eggplant, right? That is a thing, isn't it? Right? Some tumbleweed rolling right now. And so we continue my journey as I'm enjoying my supper and the fruit of my labor. The chicken has always turned out really tender and very crisp on the edges, just the way that I like it. I'm doing a small chicken breast, but there's a lot you could do with that too. You can always cut it up into strips to make sandwiches. You can make, souvlaki. You can make gyro. I know because it's not gyro like I always used to pronounce it. And even then, you're able to spread out throughout the entire week. I decided to do some Asian noodles with that too. Normally with those, you just have to put some oil and soy sauce after you finish boiling them, and it gives it a nice flavor, like in the restaurants. In this case, I'm just using the excess barbecue sauce on the plate to give it the BBQ flavor. And above all else, the veggies. Took one piece of the zucchini, but decided to have the eggplant that I re-grilled outside. And it's all oozing in the barbecue sauce goodness. Overall, very satisfactory and also very simple to put together too for everybody. So happy trails, happy weekend to you all, and peace out. This is the Wandering Yuki's Cheese Cafe signing out. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, send a like, and send a comment if you want. And if you do have any requests for what to record or what I should cover, by all means, send it my way, and I'll see if I can make it work. Peace.